everybody, welcome to the beach. We've got another amazing low tide today and we're visiting a new location to us. This is the Sequalitchew Creek Trail. I have such a hard time saying that. I butcher it every time. And it is this really great trail that leads straight down to the beach, and it's a low tide in the next couple minutes, so I thought we'd do a little exploring and seeing. If you want to post in the comments where you're watching from, that helps us to know how far our message of stewardship is reaching. And that's really great. Okay, I had a creature here when I started, which is why I decided, oh, okay, I see it. Hold on. There you go. Go in it. So we are right at the edge of an eelgrass bed. So you can see this beautiful meadow of grass, which is really great habitat for lots of animals. And this is a particularly cool find. So this is a hermit crab. And what I want to point out is on the outside of this hermit crab's shell, it is covered with hydroids, which is a type of animal related to anemones and jellyfish. And that helps to protect this animal. And then in the inside, there is a hermit crab, and it looks like this hermit crab is just about ready to transfer into a new shell. Hermit crabs don't make their shells, they have to take them. Ooh, and hold that thought. I just found another. So it's a good reminder for us not to take shells from the beach, because even broken shells like this broken moon snail shell can become home to these animals. And they have a soft body on their abdomen, and so they need the protection of a shell. Let's see if we can get either one of these to come on out. But this is a species that gets much larger than these little shells here. Eventually they will be able to fill almost a full-grown moon snail shell in size. There's no other species of snail shells that get quite large enough for these hermit crabs. I can feel them coming out. It's quite ticklish. You can notice that one of their pinchers is larger than the other, and that has to do with the way that the shell is angled and the way that the hermit crab sits inside. They will use that larger right pincher to kind of block the opening to their shell to help protect them on the inside. You can also notice they have quite long antennae, and that helps them by being able to kind of stretch outward and feel behind them. The shell blocks a lot of their vision. Even though their little eyes are on stalks, they still have a hard time seeing anything coming and approaching from behind. Really great find. I'll put these guys back in the water and you can watch them they'll probably get up and walk away. It's very, very silty sand here. Come on out, little friends. The big one's like, nope. I am safe and secure in here. You're not fooling me. All right, we'll just set them right back down where we found them. Oh, look, there's a different species right here too. This looks like a hairy hermit crab, which is a little bit different than the species that we just saw. You can see the white joint on their kind of like their little knuckle on their walking legs. And hairy hermit crabs purposefully choose a shell that is too small for them. So it's quite often that you find them and they can't withdraw totally on the inside. And they're choosing speed over sturdiness. You gonna come out? No. Yes? If we're patient. How long will people watch a crab for? There we go. The hairy hermit crabs tend to be a lot more outgoing, I guess. They're less shy than the other species that we have here. And I'm always going to hold these animals over the water or low to the ground so that they don't fall. They're such a fun little crab to watch. Oh, look at this. Oh, it tricked me. Just a moon snail shell. So I can probably expect to see more of these. I've seen a few red rock crabs and they eat moon snails. Here's another hermit crab species. This one is called a bearing hermit. Look at those great pinchers. They have kind of this great granular texture and they have bright orange tentacles. We'll see if we can coax this one to come out too. And this is a hermit crab that usually finds a home in these big dog winkle shells. They're very, very heavy snail shells. They offer a lot of protection. So this is kind of the opposite of that hairy hermit. And notice they're able to fit in all the way inside and then some. So this crab has a lot of growing to do before it outgrows this shell. So just a great reason to keep shells on the beach, even if it's not a snail shell that a crab would use. A clam shell or broken pieces of, let's say, the skeleton of sand dollars all gets recycled back into the water to provide the raw materials that new snails and sand dollars and clams are going to be using for building their shells. So we always want to leave things at the beach. And it's just kind of good manners in general to leave things as you find it. I don't know if you can see this. We've got tiny, tiny little baby eggs here. And I don't even know what they're from. Wish we had a little magnifier. That would be cool to see. So what you'll notice is I'm kind of walking the outskirts of this eelgrass bed. I don't really want to tread on the grass itself too much because it's such an important habitat and it provides a lot of homes and food for just hundreds and hundreds of species, both in their adult life form as well as in their juvenile forms as well. So sometimes we'll see this is like a nursery ground where we have lots and lots of baby animals that are sheltering in the grass. It helps keep them protected a little bit from these hungry predators that are stalking the beach right now. Lots of gulls are in the area. You might hear them. The other thing you might hear is some people. So we've got a handful of visitors to this place today. Luckily everybody's nicely socially distant. And we've all got our masks at the ready. Oh, here that hermit crab's on a journey. He's come out and he's walking around. Can he see shadows? He totally did. He went right back in. What we're doing on our beach walks is we're looking for evidence of animals, and this is a sure sign that there are moon snails in the area. This is the sand collar or the egg case of the moon snail. It's basically sand and mucus with eggs, and then sand and mucus kind of sandwiched all together in the world's grossest Oreo. And this is going to be home to maybe 500,000 baby moon snails. They're in here, they're developing. And then as this breaks apart over the next couple of weeks where we get high tides and low tides, it'll dry out, it'll get scraped along the bottom in the currents. It's gonna then release those little babies once they're ready to be hatched. And the whole casing kind of dissolves back into sand and the little babies go off as plankton. So this is a good sign that there are moon snails in the area. This is also usually a sign of spring. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for some moon snails today. Generally they're kind of a little bit deeper than we are right now, but maybe as the tide goes lower, we should be able to see them. It's an absolutely gorgeous day today. I think it's predicted to be the warmest day of the year at 61 degrees Fahrenheit, which is fine by me. That feels downright toasty after the cold weather that we've had this year. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for signs of disturbance to the sand. I'm looking for maybe tracks of an animal. Moon snails leave behind tracks, and so do large crabs. As we walk along, we just kind of keep our eyes open, keep looking, seeing what we can see. This is a large hermit crab. This is a big bearing hermit crab. This is about as large as they get because they're limited by the size of their shell that they can move into. So this is a quite large individual with still plenty of room to grow. He was definitely moving really fast. When I put a hermit crab back, I like to burp them because sometimes they get bubbles in their shell and that makes it hard for them to navigate. Now the crab will do this themselves, so it's not really a problem for them to come out and be moving around in the exposed part of the beach. But when they do go back in, they do have to kind of somersault around a little bit to get those bubbles out. Sorry, let me just do that for you, friend. Oh gosh, movement out here. It's hermit crabs. There's another little hermit crab with the hydrant on it. Also hard to tell what's human marks and what's marks from animals. Oh, here's some more evidence that there are some big crabs here. Ooh, can I go deep enough? Don't get wet. It's a long walk up the hill with wet boots. So, but we've got a bit of a crab carapace here. This is from a red rock crab, one that has been in the shell for a long time. These are barnacles, and these are living barnacles here. This one is a dead barnacle. You can tell the difference between them because the dead barnacle has this kind of open volcano shape, and the other ones have these trap doors that are sealed inside there. There's also a couple of dove snails on here. These are a scavenger type snail, so they're probably eating whatever bits of crab are left on here. Look underneath, there's even more of those dove snails. They're kind of cute because they wiggle their little foot around to try to find food and right themselves. And like Stina always says, they're waving at you. So hi, Facebook. Hi, everyone. Gotta love it. All right, and we'll put them right back. Carry on with your friends. Let's head that way a little bit. Because I don't want to get too deep. Although I'm sure it makes for a very entertaining video. It's not so fun for me. This water is incredibly cold. It's about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. This doesn't seem like much, but it is chilly. Always looking where I'm stepping, making sure I'm not going to smush an animal. In general, most of the untitled creatures are fairly tough, but if I were to step on a soft-bodied creature, that would be overly cruel if I can avoid that. So going slowly on the beach, stepping gently. This is where Lindsay gets major points for her steady cam footage because she's having to film and walk at the same time. So here comes the train, so you might not be able to hear me super well as that goes by, but we've got a few more moon snail egg cases. Maybe some little dove snails doing their little wiggle wiggle. So cute, right? I love them. Cool little tiny snails. That's as big as they get. Red algae here. It's quite pretty under the water, very, very delicate, but on it there are some fish eggs. So these are some kind of fish, and I have no idea what, but guessing by the habitat that we're in, I would say probably a tide pool sculpin laid these eggs because they're about the right size and the right amount of them, but I can't confirm unless I see the parent right nearby, so we'll just have to take my word for it. Bit of detective work will tell us that this also indicates that there's moon snails present in this sandy habitat. So this is a bent-nosed clam because you can see how kind of the edges of it just kind of goes off to the side. And then this round hole here is indicative that a moon snail has licked its way through this shell to get to the clam inside. And there's lots of these little pockets around here, so I'm willing to bet that they're still alive, or are you dead? Sometimes when you feel one of these, you can feel if there's an animal inside. But lots and lots of little clams here. A few more with the mark of the moon snail murder there. No, murder's the wrong term. It's just eating. That's what they do. Yeah, so you see there's a couple little piles where probably the moon snail was down feeding for a few days and then came up to the surface to move around to the next little sometimes you can find the tracks of moon snails, although I think they're probably a little bit deeper right now. This is a really nice, shallow kind of shelf. So we could probably, if I had like my hip waders on, I could probably go 100 yards straight out before I got too wet. Very, very shallow. So this red algae, this is Turkish towel, but this time of year, most of the seaweeds are developing this kind of blue sheen to them, and that is sunscreen. It's a protectant, kind of the same way that a lot of plants, when they first emerge in their bud stage, are reddish this time of year. This blue is found on all the different algae. I've seen it on green algae, which was a big surprise to me because I had never seen that before yesterday. But the red algae is really common for having it, and Stina and I even observed it on some bull kelp, which is a brown algae as well. So it's just kind of a little bit of built-in sunscreen as we're increasing the day length pretty dramatically by a couple of minutes each day. And then we shift into the summer weather pattern, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't just jinx this by saying that. Where we get bright, really intense sunlight for over 12 hours a day. That's gonna fuel all the photosynthesis that happens, both in the eelgrass and the algae. And this stuff's gonna come growing like mad. So if we were to come back to this beach in about a month, this whole entire area would be totally green with this sea lettuce that's just starting to grow right now. Check out the freshwater out here. Stuff like this drives me crazy because I'm like, ooh, is that a moon snail or is that probably a human walked here yesterday? Okay, is it something? Is it nothing? This looks like it might be something, so I gotta stick a finger down in there and find out. Talking moon snail. Maybe. Sometimes it's a crab and I immediately regret sticking my finger down in there.
Don't try this at home. Rachel is a professional.
Yes. Just go randomly sticking your fingers in holes at the beach.
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere, yeah.
The woods, yeah.
Keep your fingers to yourself, right? Oh, this is so pretty. This beautiful red algae is only about 1 cell thick, and it's just barely anchored on these tiny rock. So this whole thing is on this one itty bitty rock, and it just looks so pretty. I like to see that. More fish eggs. So on this kind of wide open sandy habitat, there's not always good spots to lay your eggs in a safe place. So sometimes even just the tiniest little bit of algae sticking up is enough, which is super cool. All right, so the question is, do we head back, do we head up, or do we go to those rocks over there? I think we gotta go to the rocks. Lindsay and I both agreed immediately for rocks is because rocks provide a permanent place, especially large rocks that are kind of too large to be rolled over in the waves. They're going to provide a sturdy, permanent, or at least semi-permanent home for a lot of creatures. So this can be really good full spots of view. I don't know about you, but I'm sinking in this metal a bit, so I'm not tough. That's what they say about Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Go faster.
And don't struggle.
What if there's a full creature? Then I'll so perfect. Oh, it is so mushy. Okay, so a little more solid ground. And there's a few more kind of flipping rocks here at this section of the beach. So what I want to do is find a rock that's small enough that I can lift it, because then I can lift it and set it back in place. So this actually, even though it's larger than my head, I'm hopeful to see the animal that laid these eggs. So these are barnacle-eating nudibranch eggs, and I'm hopeful if I turn this rock over, there might be some barnacle-eating nudies under here. This is just kind of like
Ooh.
There, little fishy. We've got a gunnel or two. They get called eels a lot. There's one little one right in here. They get called eels because they're long and eel-like, but they don't have, or I should say they do have some extra fins that kind of disqualify them from being eels. They have pectoral fins, which are the side fins to either side of their face, and they, we don't have any true eels here. They like warmer water, so our Puget Sound water is a little too chilly for true eels, but they swim eel-like enough that kind of protects them. They've kind of taken on, yeah, so here we've got a green shore crab, a nice big male green shore crab. If the green shore crabs are smaller than your thumb, I usually say that they're pretty safe to handle, but what you want to do is scoop them and hold them low to the ground, preferably in the water like this, so that that crab is nice and at home. This one, you can tell it's an Oregon shore crab or green shore crab because it has little tiny hairs on the legs. And it's roughly greenish overall, although that's not a requirement. These guys come in just about every color. So we'll return that little animal right to its rock. I'm also noticing there's a handful of little shrimp in here. These are little Sitka shrimp. They're a really common intertidal shrimp and super fun to watch them swimming around in a little puddle like this. So I'm gonna turn this rock back and I'm gonna lift it and set it in place so that it doesn't smash our little fishy friends. Go. All right, let's turn over another rock. There's a lot of nice head-sized rocks here. Ooh, here's a nice example of the snail that those hermit crabs were using earlier. So this is a frilled dog winkle snail, and they close up when they're removed from their rock. So they're showing off this operculum here, and similar to the right hand pincher of those hermit crabs, this is going to seal off the door to prevent an animal from getting in, and they can stay in there for a long time, and they're very, very well protected, especially knowing this is really thick, heavy shell. There's not too many animals that would be able to get this snail out, so they're very well armored inside there. And there's a lot of them here. If we start looking around, you'll see them just about on every rock is going to be a dog winkle snail. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is what I was hoping to show you. These are the eggs of this little snail slug. This is a barnacle-eating nudibranch, which is a type of sea slug. And these two are actually probably mating right now because they're turned head to tail. So this is the butt end of this one, and this is the butt end of this one. And you can tell that because there is this gill plume on their kind of back half, and that's kind of this little frilly section right there. If they were underwater, they would also have two little rhinopores which come out, and those are like little antennae that would be on the front side of them. And they're hermaphroditic, so whenever they encounter another of their species, they kind of line up like this, and then they swap their gametes, and then both of them will be able to lay fertilized eggs like this. So I'm going to make sure to set
Spring has
down
sprung.
without smooshing them. Yeah, spring has sprung is definitely the theme for this whole section of the beach. There's going to be lots and lots of mating and reproduction happening as we go. Just be careful not to slip, not to step on anybody. Large rocks like this that are way too big to be slipped are often good for looking under, although you got to get a little bit acrobatic.
Oh.
See if there's anything cool under there. Oh, Lindsay found something. That's the universal sign for look at this cool thing. You shout out, oh. So this right here is a chitin. This looks like a woody chitin. It's hard to tell. They have 8 plates along their back that can articulate a little bit. So they're like a snail, but instead of a spirally shell that covers their entire body, these guys have these plates that are kind of kept in place by this. It's called the girdle. And then underneath those plates is the animal's foot and their radula, their scraping tongue. Here, fish. Hello, fishy. Oh yeah. We've got a gunnel here going, hey, I thought this puddle was gonna be deeper. Calm down, calm down. You're safe. You're safe here. I can get him Nice view of this animal, showing off that bright orange pectoral fin, which disqualifies it as an eel, but a really, really nice common intertidal fish. They're able to breathe through their skin, so they don't really have to worry about drying out. They more worry about getting too warm in the sunshine. So I'm gonna hand you that back.
Rachel, we got a comment asking if they can see this type of program in public. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit more about our plan for the summer?
Yeah, so because of just varying vaccination rates and wanting to remain really equitable to who can come to our programs and that sort of thing, we're committed to remaining digital for at least the summer. And so we have a lot of really great low tide beach walks that are planned. They'll be live on Facebook just like this. We'll also broadcast live to TikTok because we reach kind of a whole nother audience that way. Which this is a great reminder for you to take a moment to go to our YouTube page and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so then we can also do these live programs on YouTube. And what that'll do for us is allow us to get into classrooms. It's really hard to convince school administration that they should give their teachers access to Facebook and TikTok because of the education that's going to go on. But those are really the only two platforms that we have for live broadcasting at the moment. So once we get to 1,000 followers or 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we should be able to do that, and that's a much more accessible option for a lot of our school teachers. If you are a school teacher or you know one, which chances are good that you do, we are offering our low tide beach walk programs virtually. So right now during the low tides, we're out filming, we're shooting some really great footage, and then what we can do is schedule time for your class to meet with me or meet with Stina, where we can play those videos for you, pause it, answer your questions, and have a little bit of dialogue between your students and us. Trying to keep us safe and digital for the meantime, but it's still allowing kids to ask questions and be curious about this environment, because that's what we find really helps people connect with and want to become good stewards of this place. So with that, we made it to the rocks. Should we flip maybe one or two more?
Yeah.
All right, let's find a good flipping rock. I'm kind of picky when it comes to finding a good flipping rock. I like a rock where I can see that there is space underneath it for animals to grow or to be kind of hidden. So like this rock right here, it's a little on the upper side of what I would want, but it's kind of down in the mud, so I know there's not going to be great animals underneath it. So I'm actually going to go up a little ways. Maybe this rock here. This got space. I can see it. Of course, here comes a train. So we lift this rock up and out of the way. We can see another gunnel. Lots of these little green shore crabs, and you can see their color variation is pretty wild. They come in white or purple or maroon, bluish, and they blend in really, really well with the gravel that's here. So if these crabs weren't moving, you probably wouldn't be able to see them very well. So nice camouflage there. Let's see, I'm looking around to see if there's anything else kind of exposed in here. And I think we always got to check the rock itself too. We've got a limpet here and some dead barnacles. So carefully place that rock back. And I usually set it down just slightly off kilter from where it was exactly, so that if the animals have moved since the rock has shifted, it's not going to just smash them. I would hate for that to happen. So, and another big rock here, and I can see some animals underneath it, but I cannot move that one. Way too big. I want to keep myself safe as well as the animals safe. And flipping really big rocks is a great way to hurt both of us.
Big chitin here.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good eyes. That's a nice, it's a kind of a big chitin species here. It looks like another woody chitin. I should mention that scientists recently discovered that this is an animal that can actually see through its shell. So scientists were studying them and were able to observe that they have these kind of little optical pores through their shell. So they can see, which is crazy because they're like a super prehistoric animal. They've been around since before the dinosaurs and have survived many mass extinctions. It's just a really successful design for them. Evolution has been kind to this cool creature. Primitive doesn't necessarily mean basic. This is a really sophisticated, cool creature, well suited to life here in the Salish Sea. All right, well, I think this is probably our best place to wrap up. We've got some more low tides for the rest of the week, and like I said, we're out filming for our Explore the Beach for our school programs. So if you have interest in that, you can always shoot me an email, rachel@harborwildwatch.org, or you can send us a message through Facebook or Instagram too. Those come to us as well. So thanks for tuning in with us. Hopefully you learned, hopefully you had fun, and hopefully you're gonna come and maybe visit this beach on your own. It's about a 3-mile trek all the way down and back up to the trailhead. It's beautiful the entire way. It's a really exquisite spot to get out and about and enjoy some nature. Make sure to bring your mask with you and have that close at hand, because this is a very popular place. We managed to kind of get away from everybody by hiking down the beach, but we want you to stay safe as much as possible. So we've got a lot of more opportunities. If you want to tune in for a little more beach walk, you can head on over to TikTok. We're going to do a little broadcast there on our walk back up. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for all the likes and shares and comments that you give to our page and our posts. That helps to kind of help boost our message and get it out to more people. If you are interested in contributing to Harbor Wild Watch, we are a nonprofit organization, and we do really appreciate all those donations that come through our website, harborwildwatch.org. You can also donate straight through Facebook as well. So thanks to everybody who has supported our organization in that way. And we just appreciate all the love that you give us on all of our social media accounts. So head on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you at the beach soon.